Real heavy on the agenda.
Yeah, that's
It's 5:30. Would you please stand and join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. Now Mary Ann will lead us in a prayer.
Okay. Would you bow, please? Oh Lord, we thank you for this beautiful day. We thank you for each person here. Please go with them as we all leave and go through our lives and help us follow the model of your Son. We thank you, Lord, for all our many, many, many blessings. Please take care of this school district and each person who works here. Please be with those who are being honored tonight, because they are truly ones to be honored. We thank you, Lord, for everything. In Jesus Christ's name, amen.
Amen.
Well, we'll start with our student recognitions first. It's going to be Alex Johnson. And this is old hat for him. We honored him last spring for being all-star cast member for the one-act play. So he's done this before, but he has since then gave the invocation at our convocation, did the pledges at that event as well. He's our drum major. And if you go into Taco Bell, he's probably going to wait on you. Wait on me. And so he even slipped me a free taco. I'm joking. But he's been in 2 of our high school shout-outs already. And so the teachers, they noticed some really neat things about Alex. Jeannie Collins said, Alex is always available to help others. He's highly ranked in his class, takes very tough advanced courses, vice president in his junior class, drum major, participates in debate, academic UIL, student council, PALS. Recently he began working at Taco Bell. Bonnie Latham said about her recent trip to Taco Bell, you're really making an impression of people at Taco Bell. Alex diligently swept, cleaned off tables, took orders. This was at 8:15 at night. But Alex comes in every day ready for class. I'm always so proud to see students working, but I also know how difficult it is to juggle all of that. Alex does this with wisdom and time management skills a lot of adults don't even exemplify. I'm very proud of him and blessed to be his teacher. So, Alex, high praise from all of your teachers and ministers. They're real proud of you. And you have anything to say for yourself?
I guess I make a good impression at Taco Bell.
That's right. Now to give you something for that, a raise or something. So, Alex, why don't you come on up here, Miss Show? Do you have to work it out?
Not tonight. I've got band.
Okay, good. Yes, yes.
No time to work.
Yeah.
6 o'clock, right?
Yeah. Alex is only a junior, right? Alex?
Yes, sir.
Yep. So we got another year of Alex. He said, ooh.
Gotta go to band.
Wise words. That's right. Well, now our staff recognitions. Tonight we're going to honor several from our junior high campus. They did a really neat thing. They got together a care closet to help out students in need. And so I'll read to you what Ms. Penrod said about these 5. So it's Stacy Pruitt, Stephanie Streetman, Morgan Harmon, Shelby Fulton, and Denise Jones. And they all had a vision to establish a care closet on our campus that addresses clothing needs of all of our junior high students. And so those 5 ladies' dedication to our students embody a deeper commitment more than just the academic mission. They want to ensure every child has access to dignity, confidence, and a sense of belonging. We know that clothes are important to junior high kids. And Susie also said their efforts reach beyond the curriculum, touching on the broader perspective of these kids. I wholeheartedly believe these ladies deserve recognition for their work. So we're really proud of these 5, and we want you guys to come on up. We've got each of you a certificate. And I guess, ladies, how many have you already helped several kids with the closet?
Yes, we have not an application per se, but it's a form that we let them fill out that has their sizes and things they might need more than others, like deodorant, toothpaste, not just clothes, but it's like hygiene and toiletries.
That's good.
And so then during the day we fulfill the orders and make sure we call mom or dad to come pick them up from school so that nobody knows we've sent them home. And
Have they been appreciative?
yes, it's been great.
That's good. Michelle.
Stephanie, Stacy, and Susie, why don't you come up here too?
You better scoot and give me some camouflage here. I said I need camouflage.
Yeah, turn right here, Peter.
I'm very 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great idea. All right, last but not least, we've got a community spotlight too. So at our last November board meeting, we had Pastors Lynn Parks and Bill Trotter were here to give us a God We Trust poster for each campus office. And we've had some folks reach out and just ask, well, would all of our, would more staff want one? We would be willing to pay for it and get more for our staff. And I don't know, is Lauren here, Morel? There's Lauren. Lauren helped spearhead that last fall and has again helped lead it this spring, and this summer going into fall. And Jimmy Ferguson helped out with a $500 donation right off the top. We kind of got the thing going, and so 140 staff members responded to a survey saying, we want a poster. And so the posters are not cheap, they're $5 a piece, plus Lauren wanted them framed. And so that's not a cheap undertaking, but we've gotten donors, or Lauren's gotten donors from, of course, Jimmy, but also, and let me know if I've left any out, Gatesville Exchange Club, Eastwood Baptist Church, Diana and David Fincher, Fincher's Body Shop, Davidson Auto Parts, Alan Mathis, Highway to Heaven Biker Church, the House That God Built, and First Baptist Church. Did we leave anybody else out? Okay. So,
yes.
and
sorry.
Lions Club?
Lions Club.
Lions
No,
Club, okay.
Sorry.
Yep.
Thank you.
We'll add them to
Straight.
the list. Okay. So I've got a certificate here for Jimmy and Lauren, but if you were here tonight, if you gave, and so we want y'all to come up here so we can take a picture of you guys.
So the Exchange Club actually was kind of the,
Center point.
center point, thank
Yeah,
you
good.
for it. And so that's why everybody else is here.
That's great.
So,
These are our Exchange Club members.
Yes.
And we sure appreciate it. So Lauren, where are we at on it? We've got the posters ordered?
no, they're all at Eastwood Baptist Church.
Okay.
There was a little bit of issue with a couple of the frames. 150 were ordered because we're hoping all the classrooms will get them,
Yeah, yeah.
and a few of them were broken, so we
Okay.
had to replace those. But all of them are framed and ready to go.
Wow. Okay, very good.
So
So
I just
whenever-
need to get with Lynn.
Okay. Whenever y'all are ready, we'll disperse them out. That's great.
How much money do you lack?
None.
No, yeah. Stephen, you dodged the bullet. 1,000, Stephen.
Frames or money?
That's right, that's right. Guys, y'all come on up. Jimmy, Lauren, all Exchange Club guys.
Yeah, you'll get close to the police.
Yeah.
I got my handcuffs.
You can get real close.
Still not getting in it.
Can I move this back?
Here, shift over here. There you go. You're fine, you're fine. I'm trying to get between y'all.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Thank you.
Guys, y'all are certainly welcome to stay, but you don't have to.
Erica Stevens, would you add her to the list? She went home sick today, but she's on the department that helped us.
Oh, okay, Erica Stevens.
Erica Stevens,
Okay,
yes.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. All right.
Do we have anyone here that wants to make a comment about something that's not on the agenda? If not, we'll go to consent agenda. Tonight's consent agenda includes minutes of the August 7th, 2023 special meeting, minutes of the August 2023 special meeting. Yes, we were here a lot. Minutes of the August 2023 regular meeting, minutes of the August 28th, 2023 special meeting, financial statements as of August 23, bills and payroll for August 2023, quarterly investment report as of August 23, vital signs, food service report, contribution to drug-free senior party, which is $1,000, $1,500, and contribution to junior senior prom, which was $1,500, Do I have a motion that we accept those items? One from Jimmy. Hear another motion? Second? Mary Ann, all in favor? And it passes. Now we go to information items. First of all, athletic participation numbers.
Good evening. I won't be here long. We don't have much this time, but just on your sheet up there, have some updates on our student athlete participation numbers. And we have 700, this is back in August, third week, 776 kids at the high school and junior high school campuses participating in athletics. Just checking with our coaches in the last few days, we're pushing close to 800 right now. So we're getting kids involved. We have increased almost 70 athletes total in the last 2 years. Last year was 771, which was a record for us. So this year is even higher than that. The biggest gains this year on the sheet up there, we have plus 34 in the high school boys athletics and plus 21 in junior high girls. So we think, keeping kids involved, whether it's athletics or any extracurricular, is a big deal. And our coaches are doing a great job at keeping these kids involved and keeping them around. So just want to give you guys an update on that.
Thank you. We enjoyed the music Friday. Kids
Well,
enjoyed it too.
we try to hit everybody's, listening preference, so we'll see how it goes next 2 weeks.
Sound system was good too.
Thank y'all.
Now, Ricky, you were controlling the music right from your iPad?
From the press box iPad,
From
yes.
the press box iPad,
Yes.
so Ricky does our music selection.
Really appreciate those donors that contribute to help to make that possible. That speaker system is very nice, and it makes a difference. It does.
I'd like to add, I would like to thank Dr. Pollard, and you, Hunter, Coach Hunter, and all the coaches. I am seeing an athletic program that is just above and beyond.
Thank you.
I mean, you take junior high, I know they may have 3 football teams, in the 8th grade, 3 in the 7th grade, and they're all playing. And same with freshmen and JV. And that's where you build a program. And y'all have really got it off.
Well, Mr. Alderson, thank you. I'm gonna go beyond that. It takes everybody, our administrators, our teachers, everybody on the staff to make it work, because everybody has a hand in it. But thank you. We're proud of the numbers.
Pay off.
You can also see both in volleyball and football from the sidelines or in the stands how those coaches encourage those kids. I mean, they're up and down the field and patting them on the back and encouraging the crowd, and it's really refreshing.
We don't lack for enthusiasm and intensity and maybe a tail chewing once in a while, but they love those kids. Those kids are like their own.
The other side of it is how you have expanded your program. I mean, golf, lower grades too,
Yes, sir.
golf, tennis, cross country. I mean, we didn't have that not many years back.
Right. Soccer
And
as
you're,
well.
you're involving more kids. 'Cause
Absolutely.
I know when my daughter went through junior high, it was volleyball and
Probably 4
basketball and
sports.
track, and that was it. And there wasn't all these other options and programs they could get into. So,
And the good thing
great
is
job.
we have several options, and we have so many kids that are multi-sport, but also multi-event. They're doing other things besides athletics to keep busy with, and that's what we want to happen.
All
That's what
right.
it sure is. All right, thank y'all very
Thank
much.
you, sir.
Thanks, Rick.
Appreciate it.
You can never retire.
We'll see.
Texas Network of Youth Services.
Krista was scheduled to come in and do a little update on the conference we were allowed to go to back in May, back in the summertime, and she was unable to make it, so I'm pitch-hitting for her. Back in May, we were allowed to go present at the Texas Network of Youth Services Conference in Houston, and we went through and presented, and the people did their evaluations, and so we thought it was a pretty good endeavor. We felt pretty good about our presentation. Usually whenever you stay afterwards and people ask you questions, you think you've touched some people, and we had quite a few that were asking us questions. But a better sign is whenever on day 2 you're in somebody else's training and the presenter asks, how can schools improve the help and support of students? And somebody not associated with us stood up and said, they've got it figured out. And they pointed at us and kind of explained what our training was about. And they said, we just got to get the word out and get more people on board. And so we know we at least impacted one person in a positive way, because he stood up and pronounced it to the group. And so we felt really good about it. So we asked for the evaluations, and as you can see, they all came back strongly agreeable. and we were asked to come back. And so we're hoping to be able to come back and present. So I want to kind of just give you an update and say thank you for letting us present. We're going to try to see if we can't do it again, but the budget will dictate that as well. And we had our chance, and so maybe somebody else needs another chance this year and this go around, but we'll see. Hopefully after the election we'll have some a little bit more professional development money set aside for it. But the ladies did a good job presenting, and the crowd was very receptive. Even our moderator for the conference asked, why didn't Bishop come? Because we talked about all different programs. And Joyce told everybody, mark on your evaluations of the conference to move it to some place where a bishop is allowed to come. And so she kind of presented it, said, hey, let them know that we need to bring a bishop and let them see, you know, our service dog therapy dog. And so it was a pretty good outcome for us, and our Gatesville outreach program just expanded a little bit further. And so just wanted to share the update and let you know the money was well spent.
Thank you very much. Report on collection of delinquent taxes.
Pollard, members of the board, I'm Robert Myers. I'm the attorney with the McCray Law Firm. We're the firm that represents the district in property tax collections. And thank you for having me again just to give our quick update on our activities. I think the report that we have for you tonight is similar to reports we've been able to present in the past years. It's a very positive report. As usual, we get a really good response from the taxpayers in Gatesville and in Corio County when we contact them and they happen to be a little far behind in their property taxes. Usually a phone call, a letter, and a lot of those problems get resolved through that kind of contact. We have one of our staff members who lives in the district, and she's works through Judge McCruther's office and is in regular contact with your property owners. And that's really a lot of the outreach that we try to make with your property owners is to contact them and see what's problem they're having in paying their taxes and resolving that. And I'll go through my report real quickly, but I'd just like to point out a couple of new dynamics that the legislature and the voters are going to create for some of this, and it may be a positive way, but a different one is there's going to be a increase to the homestead exemption presented to the voters, already approved by the legislature. Everybody's anticipated it's going to go through. Currently the homestead exemption is $40,000. It's going to go up to $100,000 for property owners on a resident homestead. And, you know, a lot of our collection activity deals with people who have financial problems, low economic situations, and people with at-risk families. And we really reach out to try to work with those folks. Frankly, we're going to quit doing business with those folks because if you think through, at least from the perspective of working with tax accounts, those people are going to be off the tax rolls. They're no longer be paying taxes to Gatesville ISD. So people in a house of $100,000 or less, which these days is a house that's suitable, but not as much as a house as most of us are blessed to live in. Those people aren't going to be paying taxes to Gatesville ISD. So those folks that we routinely deal with today, we're going to stop doing business with them in just a very short period of time as we work through any outstanding balances on those. And so how that changes the tax roll, you know, they've been ratcheting up the homestead exemption for a number of years, but it's never been such a dynamic leap. And it's just, I've often thought that there's a certain segment of our population that probably needs a lot of extra relief than some of us. And this may really push some of those people to the relief that would assist them, because I know sometimes those folks are really struggling to get by in life, and they'll have little less struggle to get by with. But having said that, I'll just go a little editorial on there. The last thing I'll say, so make sure you vote in November for the homestead exemption for all of us. And of course it benefits our average property owner. It could, for school purposes, it could reduce property taxes by as much as 50% on the average market value of a resident homestead, along with the compressed tax rate. So it's going to be a much different tax profile on our tax statements that go out in October this year for school districts anyway. The charts I have prepared for you sort of give a highlight of what we've been up to for the last, since I've met with you last. And on page 2, there's a chart that compares the last 5 tax years. Maybe cursor up just one, oops. That's probably the way I would operate it was back on the report. Okay. It's like on page 3 or so. That's it, with the blue and yellow bars. The yellow bars are the actual tax levy for the district for the past 5 years and show the actual taxes levied. The blue bar is the actual taxes collected, and as you can see, let me back up. The blue bar is the levy, the yellow bar is the collections. And as you can see, typically in a year, the district collects over 100% of its levy when you add in the taxes for that year, as well as the penalties and interest collected that year, and any prior year's taxes. So each year, when you set your tax rate, adopt that rate, and calculate the taxes due to fund the district, you're going to be assured that you should have, Mr. Frazier thinks about it all the time and shares those thoughts with me on a regular basis, about whether or not you're going to have the revenue that you've planned to fund the budget for the district. And as you can see, for example, last year in 2022, you levied $11,894,000. You collected $11,910,000 when you add in prior year's collections and penalties and interest, which is 100.14%. And for each year prior to that, the district traditionally levies more than 100%, or collects 100% of its levy for each year. And I think that's noteworthy. It shows that really the people in Gatesville ISD and the county in this area have the refunds, have the funds to pay their taxes. I think what drives property tax collections is the ability of people to pay. When they have the money, they're dutiful, they pay their bills and properly do. And there's a really small percentage of folks that don't pay their taxes on time, and we resolve those. And some of the charts further in the report will show that. The next chart is really the same 5 years, but it shows the balance of each of those tax years that are outstanding to date. And the blue bar is the actual levy. The green bar now, these are the actual taxes for that year that have been collected to date, without any penalties, without any interest, without any prior year's collections. For example, that $11,894,000 you levied in 2022, $11,683,000 has been collected, or 98.29%. So less than 2% of your taxes from last year still remain outstanding. If you look at 2021, 37% of those taxes have been collected. You levied $10,359,000 and $10,294,000. If you look at 2018, you levied $9,086,000. There's $9,069,000 been collected. So there's less than $20,000 outstanding from that year. And mostly, a lot of what that is property owners who are either senior, 65 years of age or older, or disabled. They can get a deferral on a resident homestead. So those folks in that situation don't have to pay their taxes if they don't, or if they don't want to or are unable to pay it. And so most districts, most taxing jurisdictions, this is true for all taxing jurisdictions, not just schools, have a lot of folks that they hit that point in their lives and they just don't have the funds to pay it, and they just let it ride. And so they can do that. There's no penalties charged. The interest is reduced if you don't pay your taxes, if they're deferred. And so we acknowledge that, we mark it on a roll, and that's really the most outstanding, largest section of your outstanding delinquent taxes is situations like that. And when the property no longer is the resident homestead, those taxes then are collected. So not written off, they're just deferred collection to allow them to do that. But overall, even despite that, you have a very high collection of your taxes. Very small percentage of your taxes go unpaid in the school district. And I've got a series of pie charts that sort of demonstrate exactly what we do for the district. This is the pie chart, shows the outstanding taxes for 2023. In July of this year, your outstanding taxes from last year for 2022 was $298,000. In 2 months, we've collected about 30% of that, $87,000. The rest of that, we're continuing our collection activities on. If you look up to the next slide, this shows the last 3 years of our collections that you turned over to us. The pie chart at the top there, these are the 2021 taxes that you turned over to us last year in 2022. At that time, you turned over to us $221,000, and we collected $156,000 of those taxes, so over 70%. So just a little bit more than 1 year, we collected 70% of the taxes that you turned over to us. So by reaching out to your taxpayers, working with them through the tax office, the county tax office where our staff is located, we're able to get resolved whatever impasse there was in preventing them from timely paying their taxes, setting them up on a payment agreement, or whatever it is, and working through that and getting them collected. The other pie charts, those are the taxes from 2020 in the top right there, and we've collected 81% of those taxes. And the bottom pie chart of the 2019 taxes you turned over to us about 3 years ago, we've collected 87%. And really, the balance of those taxes are deferred. There are some taxes on personal property and manufactured homes that are no longer in the district, so there's really no way to collect those taxes. But that's a small fraction of your overall percentage, less than 1% of your levy. It's a really healthy sign when it comes to property tax collections. And briefly, you know, the things that our activities we undertake, we send out notices to your taxpayers. This is up like on page 8. We've sent out a series of tax bills throughout the year to notify your taxpayers. The state of Texas has a program still that if you're income eligible and it's your resident homestead, you apply with the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs, they actually have monies available, grants, to assist people to actually pay their taxes on their homesteads. And so we always include on our notices them if they would qualify for that. The toll-free 800 number for the Housing and Community Affairs Department of the state of Texas, as well as their website, so they can contact them and see if they're income eligible to get that done to assist them, because that's a pure grant. They just get that money and they pay their taxes. Also, they'll pay their mortgages as well if they have that. And so we send out notices, and that's the contact we make with your taxpayers. They call us back, they contact us back, and we work through those delinquencies. On top of the next page, we do file lawsuits. We filed 24 lawsuits in the last year on 28 different properties for nearly $100,000 in taxes to the district. We really resolved those things. We only had to recover 5 judgments involving 5 properties, just almost like $6,000. So usually when we contact people, if they don't make an instant contact with or get back in touch with us, we do file lawsuits. But even when the lawsuit is pending, we were able to resolve their delinquency. And we did have some tax sales in the last year. We posted 9 properties for sale, 8 got paid, which is really what we're shooting for. We did sell 1 property. And we did file bankruptcy claims when a property owner has filed bankruptcy. The last thing I'll bore you with is the last thing on the page is property value audits. This is something Mr. Frazier focuses on. Every taxing jurisdiction in school districts, you start your year out on October 1 of the tax year. Throughout the year and the years to come, there's adjustments, usually downward adjustments made to your tax roll, your tax levy. People come in and make adjustments through late application or homestead exemptions or things that are corrected by the appraisal district that reduce your tax levy. And so school districts can have an audit done. We do an audit of your school district's levies. We actually look at the value losses as opposed to the levy losses. It's the same. We look at your levy value losses on a look-back basis. And if you have a significant loss in value from prior years, we file an audit with the comptroller's office. We say Gatesville ISD was worth $500 million in October 1 of 2020. Now we're only worth $450 million because of adjustments to the tax roll that normally occur. And we get all the paperwork, file it with the comptroller's office, and they review that. If they find it's correct, they forward it on to the Texas Education Agency. In school districts, as I'm sure you're aware of, are funded on many of your state fundings based upon your wealth. The wealthier you are, the less state aid you get. The less wealthy you are, the more state aid you get. So we go back in this instance, and for 2020, we went back this past year and told TEA through the comptroller's office that Gatesville, no offense, wasn't worth as much as they were in October of 2020. And so we got all that paperwork, got it through the comptroller's office over to the Texas Education office. They resolved it, and they sent Mr. Frazier a check and the school district a check for $110,000. Actually, it came through your funding formulas for $110,000 to adjust your funding for 2020. That's just part of our property tax services that we do at no additional charges for the district. And overall, in the past number of years, it adds up to $386,000 we've been able to recover for the district for just going through and filing these audits. We routinely do. We have you on a regular calendar basis to go back and capture those valuation losses that occur through all school districts and tax jurisdictions. And if we find that that's occurred, we send that to the comptroller's office, get all the documentation, and file that. And usually it results in the district acquiring some additional state aid for prior years, which I know you can put to good use. So just some of the things we do in addition to collecting the property taxes that are owed to the district. And the last thing I guess I should note that's positive is that the fee for all that really is passed on to your property owner who doesn't pay their taxes when they're turned over to it. So there's no outside expenses to the district. There's no cost for any of the delinquent tax collection work we do for the district, the audit services we do for the district, or any of the property value services. It's just part of the fee that recovered when we recover your delinquent taxes. So we enjoy working for the district. We've done so for a long, long period of time and look forward to doing so in the future. And thank you for having me tonight. Thank you for having us as your attorneys.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. Mr. Frazier, apologies for not being here. His mom is ill, so.
Oh, sorry to hear
He
that.
always looks forward to seeing you.
Well, he and I keep in touch regularly.
That's good.
He's got me on this
Speed
dial. Well, again, thank you very much for having me, and
Thank you.
good to see you all again.
Be careful driving back.
Sure enough.
Safety and security audit.
Oh, how are y'all this afternoon, this evening? I'm gonna be here for a little while. I think I have the rest of the board meeting is me. So every 3 years, the state requires every school district to conduct a safety and security audit. And so our last cycle was in 2020. So we just submitted the 2023 safety audit, and the police officers helped me conduct the audit. There's a spreadsheet of several hundred questions on the spreadsheet that we have to go around each campus and answer to kind of paint a picture of the safety preparedness for each campus. I use this information that they collected, and then I go online and use that information to complete the district audit report. And that audit report was submitted to the Safety Center on August 28th. We did not have any major unsafe findings. Our district and our campuses are, we meet the minimum standard and exceed the minimum standard in most cases. We did have, we came away as a team. I met with the police officers and kind of just non-officially asked if there anything that stood out to you guys that we wanted to focus on improving. And 3 areas of improvement we identified as a safety audit team. And that's number one is to include non-instructional staff in this building, maintenance staff, transportation staff, and our safety drills. Currently they don't participate in the safety drills on a regular basis because they're not on a campus. But the reality is if we have an evacuation or a bad weather drill, in this office, for example, we do, if it's the real thing, last spring when we took a shelter, we all sheltered, we need to be practicing that. Number 2, we want to update and standardize our visitor signs on all facilities. We've kind of rearranged some stuff. The front office at the primary is in a different location. We need to update that signage. We need to make sure our back doors have signage on it indicating this is not an entrance. You need to report to the front office. Most of our buildings have those in many locations. We just want to make sure they're all updated and consistent. We would like to be consistent from campus to campus, so if a visitor shows up, they know what to do. And then third, it's time for us to provide as a district staff with the Stop the Bleed training. This is a requirement that we do every several years. Officer White and has a team of safety personnel that have been trained on how to do the training for Stop the Bleed. And he felt like it would be relevant at this time to go ahead and do a new training this year. At some point during the school year, we have enough new staff, we've had enough turnover that it's time to go ahead and train the district again. So those are the 3 findings. It was a good audit. We submitted it. Like I said, we didn't have any major deficiencies. That's a good report for that piece. Any questions about the safety audit?
It's always great to hear.
Let's see, what do I have? The 6-month return to in-person instruction and continuity of services for ESSER use of funds plan. So ESSER is a grant, federal grant from 2021, and it was this return to in-person instruction is based on the COVID pandemic. It's hard to believe we're still talking about it. We've been back to in-person instruction for so long, but part of the grant states we have to review this plan every 6 months. We just finished our 6-month review on September 13th. We've updated the plan to include information such as it's now illegal for schools to close and have mask mandates, so that's stated in our plan. We coordinated with local health officials to make sure if there was anything else that we needed to include, there was not. So I'm just informing you that we have met with stakeholders. We have posted the new plan online, and it is updated so we are in compliance for the ESSER grant funds. Any question about our return to in-person instruction? All right. At the safety and security meeting a few weeks ago, Mr. Ferguson asked if we would, well, Chief Hunt mentioned in our community-wide first responders drill that we held in May that there was a little bit of issue with the police radios in part of the building. And so Chief Hunt asked if we would look into if a booster was needed, a radio booster was needed, and then Jimmy wanted to hear the update on that as part of it, and I think it's a good idea. I appreciate you bringing that up. And so after that meeting, we talked to Chief Vaden, and he's the tester of the radios for the city. And he went through and tested the exact model of the radio that the police use and that our Gatesville ISD Police Department has purchased. Our radios aren't in yet, but we have purchased them. So Chief Vaden and Officer Bergen went to every campus, multiple locations on every campus, and the radios worked throughout every part of the building. And so we don't know what might have happened on the day of the drill. It could have been that we still have old radios that may have been causing some issues, but we are ordering new radios. But Chief Vaden said we don't need a booster for the radio piece of it. The radios performed as they should. Only his recommendation was if we wanted to consider a booster for cell phone service in some of our buildings like the elementary, because it is so common for people to use cell phones to call for an emergency help. He said that might be something you want to look at. It's not a requirement, and that was his only recommendation. So that's the update on the booster, or the radio boosters. Any questions about that?
Did they mention the cost? They said they were very expensive for the boosters.
The initial cost that Motorola gives you is around $25,000. But from talking to Chief Vaden and Chief Stiles, that's way more system than most facilities need. And so you have to get the rep here and go through all of the details with what exactly do we need. Chief Vaden thought, I was not able to obtain an exact quote up until this point, but just talking to Chief Vaden and Chief Stiles, Chief Vaden thought maybe around $10,000 would be about the cost of what we would need, but he wasn't sure because the technology's changing so rapidly and prices go up so quickly. But he did say you got to be careful; they will oversell you on what you need. So, any other questions or comments about the booster training or booster testing? In the same meeting, do I need to slow down for my next items? Do I need to be told to go to my next item? Good. In the same meeting, we talked about our Rapid SOS 911 system. So the Rapid SOS 911 system is a system that is supposed to coordinate or sync with the maps that we have. We have a gridded map of every district facility. It's a high resolution map. It's very detailed. We paid for a company called CRG to do these maps. They're a very sophisticated map. And they're very beneficial. The Rapid SOS system is supposed to sync with that and tell exactly where you're at in the building, kind of like the Uber technology. You can follow the Uber car when it's moving. Well, this Rapid SOS technology, if you're on your cell phone, it's supposed to allow the 911 dispatcher to follow you if you're moving, or to pinpoint what room you're in the building. We had not tested the system. And we did test the system, and we have identified that we need to, there's an update that needs to be made. I've been going back and forth with our dispatcher and our CRG rep. It works, and then it tells you what address you're calling from. It pulls up the map of the facility, our campus map like it's supposed to. The icon is not currently showing up within the exact location of the building. And so we are, I'm playing middleman on this, but the last update I got yesterday was the Rapid SOS expert from CRG was communicating with our dispatcher to see what the issue might be, if it's a system issue, if it's a training issue. But the good news is it works in the aspect that it tells you what campus the call is coming from. It does pull up the map so that we can communicate that to first responders. We did identify that it does not provide the exact icon, exact location, but we're going to work on getting that fixed. Any questions about Rapid SOS 911? It's a good system, and we're going to get it working because it is beneficial to know if there's an emergency going on, where they're at in the building, if that was needed.
You need to know exactly.
And not have to rely on the person maybe to tell you the moment. The next two items I have are action items. They're not information, so we do have to have a recommendation and a vote on these. The first one is for SHAC, School Health Advisory Council membership. It is the school board's role to approve the volunteers and the members of the SHAC committee each year. We solicit parent volunteers at the beginning of each school year through the registration process. And then I collect the names and I send a follow-up survey, double checking, do you really know what you signed up for? Do you really want to participate? And the names attached on the list, I forgot the count, it was 30-something names, I believe. But those parents are interested, parents and community members are interested in participating on the SHAC committee. And it is my recommendation to approve this list to be eligible to participate for the 23-24 school year.
Do I hear a motion to approve? Linda? A second. Jimmy? Any further questions? All in favor? Okay.
Thank you.
Bus stop.
The next one is may take a little bit more in-depth conversation, but on Thursday, September 7th, bus 16 was rear-ended while unloading students on Highway 36. And this is a picture of the car. This picture was taken after the bus was told to get off of the highway, was cleared to get off the highway by first responders, and after it had dragged the car 40 to 50 yards is what I was told, before the car actually dislodged from the bus. There were no injuries. There were 5 students on the bus when it happened. There were no injuries the day of, no visible injuries the day of. We have since had a student experience back pain, and the last message I got was that the student had compressed vertebrae as a result of the accident. So there was one student that was injured, it sounds like. The driver of the car was not seriously injured. They did leave in the ambulance with soreness and maybe a broken finger was the report I got. This accident happened out near the, what's the name of it? Shining Star RV Park on 36, towards the lake. And last year in the same, roughly the same location, half a mile or less from that area, bus 15 was unloading and a car stopped for the red lights behind bus 15, but the next car did not stop and rear-ended the car. It didn't hit the bus, luckily, but it hit the car. And we currently have over 30 bus stops on highways 36, 84, and 116. And these 3 roads are increasingly more dangerous every year, it seems like. The number of oversized loads coming down 36, the high rate of speed. It's not, we talk a lot about safety in our schools. This is a major safety issue. And what the transportation team is asking is we would like the board to approve us to move the dangerous highway stops to safer community stops that are not on the highway. Community stop is we would find a church or a park or somewhere else that's not on the highway that the bus can pull into. Parents can have parking spots there to park, to let their kids load the bus off of the highway in a safer, not in the flow of traffic area. Only the stops on the highway. We're not talking about other neighborhoods or things like that. The reason we're coming to the board is it's a difficult topic. I mean, parents are going to be upset about it. We hear quite often, you will pick me up at my house and drop me off at my house. You will do that. I rode the bus when I was in kindergarten and it picked up at my house. You're going to do it. We try to accommodate as many people as we can. But it's a dangerous area that I would like, and the transportation department would like to have the go ahead to say, let's look at these stops and see if we can move them. answer any questions you got.
My idea is safety over inconvenience. My only concern is what are you gonna do if there's not a parent at that bus stop?
That's my concern.
That's fine.
So they will have, we have some community stops now. We pick up at the Cowboy Church, pick up and drop off at the Cowboy Church. And if there's not a parent there, we have to bring them back to the bus barn. We can't just, now, in the neighborhood, if there's not a parent standing at the corner, the kid can go to their house. But at a community stop, we can't just let them stay at the community stop on their own.
But
And parents would have to be there.
what if parents work just can't? That's, I get safety.
Yeah,
It should be safety over
Right.
everything. But what if a parent just?
It's tough, all right? That's the dilemma. Because there's a chance someone's always going to have something. Yes, ma'am?
So we're legally okay to do something like that?
Most of your cities only have community stops. Most of your bigger districts don't go door to door anymore.
What's the farthest distance between a kid you drop off and where they really live?
Currently,
Figure that out? I mean, if we do this, like if you go to Flat and drop some kid off, where does that kid?
we
what's
have
the
not
farthest?
looked at that. We have not looked at community stops yet because we wanted to get your approval before we even entertained the idea. So we could come back and say these are our community stops. These are the ones we identified. If you wanted to have final say on it, but we don't have. We would want to find the closest stop to the biggest group of kids, if that makes sense. I don't actually even know. We have some kids that at the Cowboy Church out on 84, West 84. They live right on the district line, and actually one of them lives over the district line, and our buses don't go into the next district, and they come about 2 miles, but they're not in our district, but they don't live in our district, but they go to school in our district, and our buses don't run out of district, so they do go a couple of miles, that group, but that's their choice because they want to go to school here.
When you did the Cowboy Church stop, did you meet with all the parents of the kids who?
That stop's been going on for a long time, and so I
Okay.
don't know how that came about,
Okay.
to be honest with you.
How many families do you think this will impact?
We have over 30 stops on the highways right now. Now that doesn't mean we have to move all of them to community stops, but we have some very high risks. We have some very dangerous stops that we definitely want to prioritize.
Have you thought about the possibility of having maybe a community forum where they can come together and talk about this first and then come back to us and let us know what the community feels?
We could.
I think that would be, before we actually approve it, I'd like to know how the people out in the field feel about it.
What our recommendation might be to explore it.
Yes.
Come back to you next month with more data as far as, okay, this is how many kids and families, this is how far they'd have to walk to get to the thing, things like that.
Sounds like a good idea, but.
And that's the reality is that's why we're here. It's not going to be a popular choice. It's not going to be a happy deal. People are not going to be happy about it.
But you'll be kicking yourself if they rear in the bus and somebody gets killed.
Yes.
One of the biggest issues we face on the highways is when people don't see the reds, their exit, their avoidance of the accident is door side. It's the shoulder. All right, and that's where your kids are. That's where your kids are getting on and off. Because they don't want to go into traffic. They want to go over there. Well, in the law is you don't leave the lane to load and unload. So you don't go to the shoulder to load and unload. You stay in, you hold your lane and stop in the lane. So there looks like there's room on the shoulder side. And that's one of our biggest issues is people that see the reds too late and that's where they go. And it's scary. I've been there a few times myself. It's scary. Yes, sir.
I think some of the biggest problems we have or have had is where the kids meet in one spot for pickup. When you get a group of kids together, and this is what they were saying at the very beginning, at some point in time, they're going to misbehave.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So how are you going to control, say, the kids' behavior at that pickup spot?
I will say so this might be my third year over transportation, we have not had a community stop issue. We have neighborhoods with community stops. We have several neighborhoods. We have 40 kids that get off over here on 34th Street in Empress, or I can't remember the Regal. 20 at one stop, 20 at the other stop, And we haven't had any issues at those, luckily. I mean, there's nothing I've done. That's my data point right now. What I see at those stops is there's several parents that are standing at those stops waiting with the kids, especially the younger kids.
That'd be good. I mean, nice to make sure there's a parent volunteer at all of them.
And these stops are, it's not gonna be a lot of kids at these stops. It's because they are spread out. It won't be the number of kids that are a community stop in a neighborhood where you're looking at 20, 25 kids at some of those stops. It won't be those numbers at this one.
Yeah, they tell us all the time about cars blowing past buses with reds on. The public, as far as their driving and safety habits, are not good sometimes running buses.
I've been a bus driver, and what you're saying is very true. It's very dangerous.
So are y'all willing to do a study of it?
Yes.
Okay, so we're gonna have to change the recommendation.
Okay.
So maybe you just wanna put department that we explore
Yes.
moving dangerous highway stop to safer community stops. Would that be okay?
Yep.
Yep.
And then we'll report back to you next month on on the data of it.
We'll make some notes real quick, specifically just parents' belief or thoughts on it.
Does that require a motion?
Yes. You still
I
have
hear
a
a motion
recommendation,
that we
you're just gonna
explore
explore.
the school bus stop issue. Linda, a second. Cheyenne, any further discussion? I think it's a good idea.
I do too.
All in favor? Okay. Copier.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Daryl wanted me to go over this just briefly. This is our copying machine replacement plan that he started about, I guess 2019 is when he started. And copying machines are expensive and they take a lot of wear and tear, and so they're kind of like buses. You have to replace them after a few years. And so in the body of the text there, he gives several stats and figures, but basically in a nutshell, what he's recommending tonight is to purchase 3 of the new AltaLink B8-170 copiers as the next phase of the plan to replace the district's current inventory of Xerox copiers over the multi-year plan. So we buy a little bit each year so it doesn't hit us all at once. 1 new copier will be placed at each of these campuses, primary, elementary, and intermediate. The new AltaLink C8-170 at the admin office will replace the current WC 7855, which will be moved to the field house. So what typically happens is we keep the old ones and they're like hand-me-downs, and we give them to different places that can use it, and they still limp along for a little bit longer. But that was his motion tonight as presented.
Do I hear a motion that we accept the copiers? Yes, Mary Ann? A second? Linda? Further discussion? All in favor? CAD.
All right, this comes around every year where we, the CAD wants us to nominate someone to serve on their board, and they serve 2-year terms and are appointed by all the different governing bodies. And so we could nominate by resolution 1 candidate. And so last time we nominated Andy James, and so I felt like he's done a good job. And so if we want to nominate him again tonight, and then I think the next month, then we actually have a vote where we cast all of our votes, and it's like it's quite a few votes. What was it, Tara? Like 873 votes or something that would go to Andy. But tonight, basically, I recommend that JSD nominate Andy James by resolution for appointment to the Board of Directors of the Coryell Central Appraisal District.
I hear a motion. Okay, Mary Ann, a second. Okay, Jimmy. Any further discussion? All in favor? You got it. Professional Development Days.
All right, the last one here is kind of a follow-up to the staff development waiver one that I did last month. Remember when I talked to you about the CTE minutes couldn't go below 45 minutes on average, and if they did, it was gonna like slap on the wrist and take all of our CTE funding. Well, we wrote that waiver. It was approved almost instantaneously, so that we're all good. So that's taken care of. But we also have a really large abundance now of instructional minutes. That gave us more minutes. And so, in speaking with Laura Lamb and teams and some of our principals as well, we have now banked 9 days of bank minutes beyond the minimum number of instructional minutes required by the state at 3 of those campuses. And at primary and elementary, we have a cushion of 6 days. And so what we'd like to do is get through the bad weather months, specifically February, where we usually have some cold or ice. And if we're still having a large cushion, the 2 days in the spring that are professional development, March 18th and May 6th, where we don't have kids already, allow the staff to just go home as opposed to doing it. So remember, we're torturing them these next 4 early outs by making them stay and do PD as opposed to going home. So in return, we thought this would be a nice gesture to let them, all right, go on home. We also have an opportunity, this is a little bit on a tangent, but there is a marketplace day in December on a Saturday. If they work that day, they can comp out of the April 8th eclipse PD day. So I basically give them an option. Would you rather work a Saturday and do a Christmas thing, or would you rather work a spring eclipse thing for us? And so pick one, pick your poison. And but these 2, I think we could just give them totally off if we get through the ice. So I would recommend the board give management the flexibility to change March 18th and May 6th staff development days into staff holidays if we don't expend too many minutes on bad weather during the winter.
Do I hear a motion? Jimmy, a second. Mary Ann? Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay, it's 6:26. We're through with the board meeting and we're going into special session.